Welcome to Monarchy Marathon. In this video, I'll be comparing the two television options we have for the reign of Henry VII, The Shadow of the Tower and The White Princess. You can absolutely watch both, but if you only want to watch one, I'll try to help you decide which is better suited to you. Let's start with the basics. The Shadow of the Tower came out in 1972, was 13 episodes, all a little less than an hour long, and it was unrated, but I would say PG. The White Princess came out in 2017, was 8 episodes, all about an hour long, and I would say this lands around R. The Shadow of the Tower begins the moment Henry Tudor becomes Henry VII at the end of the decisive battle against Richard III. Henry VII makes an appearance in most episodes, but he is not always the focus. There is very little character growth for him, mostly his reactions to things going on in the country, and constantly points out he was a money grubber. Most time is spent on his political adversaries, the church, and other important men of the time. This show is very politics heavy. In fact, I would say unless you know your history or watched the shows preceding this one, you might be confused at first since they do very little to introduce the characters. This was by no means a big budget project. Sadly, I don't have much to say in its favor regarding production design or costuming. What it does have going for it is its caliber of script and acting. Many episodes follow new characters where they discuss philosophy, religion, and other important topics. A lot of episodes kind of feel like going to the theater and watching a really funny or intense one-act play. I'm not usually a fan of shows that don't follow a continuous storyline, but I will make an exception for this one. There is barely a hint of violence and no gore. The cover is a bit misleading. There is a tiny bit of romance at the very beginning when we are first introduced to Elizabeth of York, but then we barely ever see her again. There was one random, fully naked lady on the screen for a few seconds in one episode and nothing else. The White Princess is a direct sequel to The White Queen, based on a series of books by Philippa Gregory. It also starts the moment Henry Tudor becomes king, with backflashes of Richard III's fall in battle. This was a very different story, following Elizabeth of York, the wife of Henry VII, and how she came to be queen, and the drama around what happens to her family. Henry VII comes off as a young warrior who always was told he would be king, but now that he is, has no idea what to do. Cue inner turmoil around his right to rule and who he should be listening to. This show gives us the aftermath of the Wars of the Roses and what happens to everyone who survived and the children left behind. This was a big budget project. It was filmed in many different gorgeous castles and cathedrals. I mentioned in the White Queen review that the costumes felt more like a fantasy Cinderella movie. I would say the same for this, only much more risque. I don't think they could have made Elizabeth of York's top any lower. There was some semi-explicit sex and nudity, but not as much as you would expect after The White Queen. There wasn't as much romance either. Though it is there, it's mostly the political kind. There was a borderline non-consensual interaction in the beginning. Violence and gore are barely worth mentioning since they never show any. The drama is all, oh no, he's about to get his head chopped off. Cue dramatic speech. Camera focuses on the faces of the audience. Sound effect of axe, go. Tears in people's eyes. Cutscene. Final opinion. I'm not an expert, but if you're looking for something that's probably more historically accurate, fantastic acting, and don't mind the 70s visuals, then The Shadow of the Tower is probably the one for you. If you're more interested in a very pretty soap opera that sort of kind of tells a similar story of Henry VII through the eyes of his wife, The White Princess is the way to go. I hope that helped you out. Happy watching.